the bride of Christ mentioned in the Bible had never any reference to her family or her lineage. I often wondered why. And I studied the ideology of why the bride of Christ and her lineage was never mentioned. A mother, a father, a sister, a brother, none of that. And I mean, when I tell you I studied for years. As a matter of fact, let me be clear. I studied God's ideology behind why he would put people in position regarding the canon. Canon meaning the Bible. And never, ever, ever specifically bring mention to the bride of Christ. And then I had to reference. I had to go back and reference when I started studying the tarot. And then I had, putting two and two together with the tarot and the Torah. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. The tarot is so biblically specific for people, for a people that are set apart. It's not even funny. But fast forward, leaning into who is the bride. The bride speaks of it being a body. When we talk about Christ, when we talk about marriage, you're talking about a head. A head. There's always a head of a house, and we would consider the head of a house the husband. And then the body is what I've learned, what the Most High have shown me is the body is the bride. And it's deep because, women have been seeking so much liberation and being feminine and being their own bosses and being able to work. And it's taken away from how God designed this thing to be. It's deep. It's really like this whole thing is just so deep. It's just on so many levels. It's just, it's not just as simple as the bride of Christ and the Messiah. It's just not. Israel, I've been graced this week with, not because of Thanksgiving, just because of spirit, just because I got on my knees and prayed that the Most High would allow me to bring joy to my family, and whoever was willing to receive it, let them come to me. I've been being visited and been graced with people who want to vent and figure out some things in their life, and it just makes me think about what the word Israel means: church, bride, blah blah. It puts me in position to be an authority regarding the truth, right? So, pardon me. I've, God has not left me alone since I was a kid. And, he, whatever this journey is or whatever I need to fulfill, he's going to make sure I fulfill it regardless. So, it's nothing I can do. But I will say this. A lot of people, because they don't understand the Bible and the word, and they lean onto another's perception of what Armageddon and Judgment Day is going to be. They don't even, if they knew the details of how intricate God is about Judgment Day and heaven and the descending of the New Jerusalem and blah. I mean, people would really like be in awe at how his mercy and his grace is unbelievable. He is not expecting to leave anybody behind. But because people have not been taught or corrected properly, they don't understand. They don't see the sentiment behind his grace. It's the best way I can put it. So boom. Going back to Israel, why her family is not mentioned, why it's just the Messiah with the new name and his bride. He leaves his false bride to, the real bride, blah, blah, blah. Here's what's crazy about what people don't understand about the book of Revelation. This war, Israel, Hamas going on, is, like I said before, are you kidding me? The Most High's creation is the Most High's creation. He doesn't intend to leave anybody behind. But other, when people think thoughts that are of the world, and it's natural and people can't help themselves, they will get lost in what is not the truth. Meaning, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put how I can make this very, very that's where I want to go. That's where the Most High wants me to go. And I'm eating too, so forgive me. I was introduced to the Torah from my ex. It's a whole long story on how that happened, but I'll talk about it another day. The Torah and the Tarot. When I was introduced to the Tarot, I was afraid of it because of what the perception was of it. But then I found the truth in the Bible. Fast forward, here I am doing the Most High's work. Well, some people will see it that way, some people won't. It's cool. I don't have time to fight and argue with what the Most High told me to do and how people perceive the word. But I was introduced to the tarot, and yesterday I realized that the high priestess is wearing a triple cross. And then if anybody has studied, like for me, I study. I'm a theologian to the core. So when you listen to music, you hear about Duce, and you see the symbol on Jay-Z's Duce, and it's a double cross. But then you look at the tarot, there's a triple cross on the high priestess. And the double cross is represented as the, double cross of Lorraine. Listen, I guess I'm saying it's more personal than anything, but anyway. Israel, Hamas, double cross of Lorraine, triple cross of Lorraine, blah, blah, blah. We're living in a time where people don't want to believe that this is the book of Revelation. I believe it because I live it. We'll get into that later. But family. Going back to family and the idea of family. And then the tarot and the high priestess. In the tarot, the high priestess is sitting in the middle of two pillars, one dark, one light. And one pillar is named or has a letter on it with the letter B, and the other one has a letter on it with the letter J. I know what that means to me personally. But what I want you all to know regarding tarot is the high priestess sits in between the light and the dark. That's really what's important. When God created light, he created it out of darkness. Fast forward to the high priestess card in the tarot deck. She is in the middle. She sits in the middle of a light pillar and a dark pillar. Let's talk about Freemasonry. Let's talk about the Boule. Let's talk about things that people don't understand. I'm helping you understand in this moment. Let me fast forward. Let me just break it all down. Let me just give you the tea. The high priestess is the counterpart to the Hierophant in the tarot deck. The Hierophant is like the Pope in the tarot deck. The high priestess is basically the Pope's wife. Boom. The high priestess sits in the middle of a light pillar and a dark pillar. She understands evil and the goodness of God on a massive level. I mean, nobody can supersede her understanding. That's why she's the counterpart of the Messiah. So who would be the best counterpart of the Messiah with a new name other than the high priestess, who understands why the evil is what the evil is and why the goodness of God is what the goodness of God is? I'm going to be honest with you. I lived in New York City for 20 years. And every Hasidic Jew, especially the ones with curls, that came to me and wanted to do business with me, said, literally, that the bride of Christ is the devil's daughter. I kid you not. If you ask a Hasidic Jew in New York City, they would believe, they wholeheartedly believe the devil. And when this Jew man that I had a meeting with to do business with said that to me, I was appalled, because I'm like, the audacity. But then when I thought about it, then when I came to discover and understand the Torah and the tarot deck, I realized that the high priestess is a representation of Israel, the church, the bride of Christ. Lord, forgive me if I'm wrong. Heavenly Father, forgive me if I'm wrong. And I don't want to lead any of his sheep astray at all. But what I'm saying is that where it concerns Israel, the bride of Christ, and I'm speaking of these things in this nature because we are living in these times. Look at the Israel, the war, this, that, and the other. Let me ask you something. If you were God and you knew that the devil was your enemy, What will be the biggest payback? What will be the big payback? Making the devil's daughter his son's bride. But then it wouldn't even be that bad because let me tell you something. Imagine a woman marrying a man, the love of her life, right? Who is the son of the creator of the world. But she possesses the soul of two worlds, which means she understands the dark and the light. It's a lot of pressure on her, the church, the movement. But because he loves her and he understands he understands that she understands both sides of the game, he raptures her. He raptures her. Not because and he knows that she would never use anything against him or them. She's about the greater goodness of people, mankind. See, God is so specific. I'm telling you, God is amazing. You couldn't even get mad at God. At the end of the day, when you understand the full story of how all this stuff is done and how God does what he does and why, there's no way. It's like, yeah, the devil was doing his dirt and beasts and all this. Everybody did their dirt. But the way God puts it together is so amazing and beautiful. Ah, man, I'm rambling because I'm in awe still, understanding the truth for 10 years and giving you, bits and pieces of the truth to try to break it down to y'all. It's just like even talking about it is amazing to me because when this Jewish man said to me, the bride of Christ is the devil's daughter. This had to be about 10 years ago in New York City. With the Shirley Temples on the side of his head. When he said that, I studied for all these years on why would God do that? And it's because she understands light and dark and she knows how to balance them both. A Libra, the perfect judge. Oh, I can go on and on and on and on. Like, oh gosh. The person that puts her in her comfort to be able to manage light and dark moving forward is the Messiah, and that's why he's praised. Israel, the church, is the movement because she is the church, and she how do you put it? She takes her time and balances the good and the evil. But the Messiah saving her is almost like putting her in the Messiah saving her. What the Messiah saving her is her being put in putting in a very serene space where she could think and meditate and, and convene with the Most High to allow to create a world lifestyle where everybody can experience heaven. So basically the Messiah is the facilitator. He's the facilitator of putting her in a space of heaven. It's like, this is what the Most High has been telling me for years and showing me for years. Because with all this knowledge and all of this the scholarship that's been coming to me biblically about the word and the truth, The Messiah doesn't want to see any of his creation. Are you serious? Do you think the Messiah? Do you think God, the Father, actually created beings to be of destruction? Because anything he created is of himself, so he'd be destroying himself if he wanted that. He wants everybody to experience heaven and him being. I mean, I can go on and on. I digress. Y'all hold back.